Welcome to this episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I'm your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill. Today, we are going to be going over our top 5 list of UFC fighters to have never won a title in the UFC.
Correct.
Will, why don't you tell us a little more about what we're going to touch on with our lists?
All right, so we got some stipulations for the list. Number 1, interim champions count as champions. Otherwise, we would have both picked
Dustin Poirier.
Number 2, they have to have fought in the UFC. Otherwise, we probably also would have had Fedor.
I would include Fedor.
Yeah. And also probably pretty high up on the list.
Yeah.
I think that's really it, is they have to have fought in the UFC. They have to have not have been a champion or interim champion. But we think that they are really, really good.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite topics. It gets brought up a lot in the wrestling community, like, hey, who was the best to never win a title? Like, type of thing. So, you know, if we were to do our top 5, like, just of all time, right, like, as you were alluding to when we were discussing what we should do, like, our list's probably going to look a lot similar. And that's going to be hopefully one of the cool things about this episode is I don't know who's on your list. You don't know who's on my list. I don't know the criteria you use to determine on what makes someone good or not, and, you know, vice versa there. All right. So,
Do you want to start with criteria, or do you want that to kind of be at the end?
I think the criteria, like, if we need to touch on it, let's touch on it at the end or in the middle. Let's not start with it because,
Cool.
let's
Dive right in.
the list might expose the criteria.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
So, who starts? All right, one on. Just one guy.
Ready?
All right, your choice.
All right. I'll
Top,
start us
bottom,
off.
neutral, defer. All right, you're
I'll
starting us
start
off. All right.
All right, so my number 5 best UFC fighter who has never won a championship,
Yeah.
Damian Maia.
Dude, that's a solid one. I love that pick. I love that pick. All right.
All
Hit
right.
me. Why? Why is he your top 5 and he's not in mine?
Interesting. Okay, so 1, he was an ADCC champion, right? Like that's
Okay. I like that.
I think that's pretty valuable.
All right. Hey, let's pause this episode. I'll be back. Adjust my list. No, go ahead.
But like, you know, how many guys in the UFC were ADCC champions?
Right.
Like not a lot.
Is it just him? No.
Verdum, right? Was
Yeah,
he an ADCC
Verdum.
champ? And I believe was Jacare.
Jacare, yeah.
Yeah.
It had to
I mean,
have been.
dude, regardless, there's like very few people with jiu-jitsu like Damian Maia, right?
Right, yeah,
And,
absolutely.
like, I think that's super cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, you know, he's 28-11. That's a ton of fights. Most of it was in the UFC. He holds all kinds of like, you know, top 5 records for like most time or, you know, most
believe-
wins, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so he also fought for the middleweight title against Anderson Silva and the welterweight title
Against
against Tyron
Tyron?
Woodley. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2 title fights.
2 title fights, 2 different weight classes.
I got to tell you, dude, that's a strong rationale to be on the list. And I might be questioning my list a little bit.
That's all right. I'm probably gonna have some questions for the ones on my list as well. But
Yeah.
But I think that's a pretty solid number 5. He got 2 title fights, 28-11, ADCC champion.
You know, I'm not going to argue that. Like, the only thing that makes me question is my list. You know?
I mean, I think that's a pretty solid pick then.
Let's dive down though. So,
All right, who's your number 5?
my number 5 is Chael P. Sonnen.
Brother.
So, Chael, 2 title fights,
Uh-huh.
right? Well,
No,
3
3.
title fights, but yeah, 3 title fights. Anderson Silva, the Anderson Silva rematch, and the John Jones title fight up at 205. So he fought for the title in 2 weight classes, as you mentioned, with Damian Maia as well. Chael should have been the WEC middleweight champion.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Paulo
not
Filo
sure.
missed weight.
Yes, so Paulo Filo was the WEC middleweight champion. Chael was challenging for the title, and Paulo missed weight, therefore making it a non-title fight. And Chael won the fight. So
And that's crazy because a lot of the times
then they make it eligible for just the person who made weight.
Exactly.
Right? So just the person who made weight can attain the title. But, you know, like, this was probably before, like,
Yeah, that was like
They
all
probably
sorted out.
this could very well be the reason that happens like that now.
Yeah,
Because they're like, man, he should have been the champ. He beat him, and it's like, oh, if you're the champ and you like, you can miss weight and keep your title, it's like messed up.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, it's messed
for
up.
sure. Or stopping the other guy from taking it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
And also, you missing weight is obviously it depends, but like it's technically an advantage for you. You're heavier. You know what I mean? So like, why shouldn't the other guy be able to get it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Also, I think an important thing with Chael is skill wise. I think his skills are kind of underrated, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, like everybody knows that he was real good, but I think that his talk is so out of this world amazing that it overshadows his actual fighting abilities.
I agree. And I think that he has the style that is just a nightmare for everyone, right? Same style you had.
Yeah.
Aggressive, forward-moving fighter with really good hands and really good takedowns. Like
One of the first things people would say about Chael is that he had good takedowns. And even saying that, even if you said he had great takedowns, you're underrating him.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal. They were absolutely phenomenal. His proactive entries, his reactive shots, the timing was just perfect on them. Chael also, along with should have been the WEC champion in middleweight, in his career he did beat 3 UFC champions. Holds a wins over Quentin Rampage Jackson, Mauricio Shogun Hua, and Michael Bisping.
And while he didn't win, he fought Fedor, dude. Like
he fought Fedor, yeah.
He's a middleweight who fought Fedor.
Yeah, he's a middleweight who fought Fedor, and that first Anderson Silva fight, right? Like, and it's just wild to me how that came all down to just like a misinterpretation of the rules.
Thought he could just tap for that one round.
Yeah. So those of you who are maybe unaware, hopefully you find this clip. But Chael is being spoken to about the Anderson Silva fight, in which he won 24 minutes of the fight and got submitted with a triangle in the last 30 seconds of the fight. And he explained that he had a misunderstanding of the rules, and he thought that if he tapped out, he lost that round. So then they would go to the judges' scorecards, and he would have won 4-1 and been the new UFC champion. And he said this in an interview, and Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber are sitting next to him, and they're like
he's totally serious.
They're like, oh my god, and he's got the best like dead face like on like he's like telling the truth, and it's so funny, which he obviously knew, but like just that bit alone, that might be my favorite bit.
He's got to be the best like talker in UFC, right? Or MMA
he's the
history.
best. He's the best talker for entertainment value in my wheelhouse of like the genre that I like, right?
Yeah.
You could argue, Conor McGregor, but it's just like, it's like, okay, it's like being like, Jay-Z's the best, right? And you're like, oh, Mastodon's the best, and it's like, okay, we're two different genres,
right?
We like two different styles of music, okay, yeah. So for me, Chael's the best.
It's a good pick.
Yeah,
interesting.
Right. So how do we want to do this? Do you want to run 4 and we just go 4-4, or do you want to snake draft this?
No, let's just go back and forth because I think that'll work out.
All right.
Where's my notes? All right, so my number 4, Kenny Florian.
Dude, wow, what a good pick. I actually, Kenny Florian was he got moved off of my list.
Okay, and I can understand
He was originally on it, and he was moved off of it.
And yeah, we can talk about
okay, Ken Flo. Let's go.
Let me hit you with some stats. Kenny Florian, he went 14-6.
Yes.
He fought at 4 different weight classes.
45, 55, 70, and 85.
He fought for the lightweight title against Sean Shirk, then BJ Penn, and then the featherweight title against Aldo.
Yeah. So again, a 2-weight class title challenger, 3 title fights,
and against like really good guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Sean Shirk is kind of like the small Chael. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just like juiced out of his mind, super heavy puncher, aggressive takedowns. Obviously, he's not as good of a wrestler as Chael, but he's really good.
Dude, he had some very explosive takedowns. Like Sean Shirk, I was like a fan of his again proactive takedown style.
Dude,
like,
you can't not be a fan of Sean Shirk's style. Like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously to fight BJ, like arguably one of the better lightweight champions ever.
Yeah, some people still consider him the lightweight goat.
I don't, but
yeah, I don't either. I said some people.
But yeah, but I mean, like
I didn't say the right people.
that's fair. But I also like understand the allure of BJ Penn and his style. Like, there's a lot of stuff about him. And then to go and fight Aldo, like Aldo, I think is, I mean, he's at least in the top 3 greatest featherweights. You know, so like, I mean, dude, he fought killers. You know. Now, why is he lower on my list? I think what I say his record was 14 and something. He didn't have as many fights. I think some of the other guys he fought maybe weren't as high quality as some of the other people on my list. But I think skill-wise he was really good. He was one of the first guys who was great at grappling and great Muay Thai. I think his wrestling left something to be desired, but overall, fantastic fight.
Tremendous elbows.
Yeah.
Tremendous
awesome
elbows. I find it unique that your first 2 people aren't on my list. I like that.
Yeah.
Because like what I'm worried about is you busting out my number 1 like as your number 4, right? Like I don't want like, and then it's like because it's gonna pull the argument out of me right now, and then it's gonna, you know what I mean? And then it's gonna ruin my number 1.
Fair enough.
All right,
We're doing well so far.
Moving on to the better list. Number 4, Joseph Benavidez.
Interesting.
Yes.
Maybe with some facts here.
All right, here goes some facts. Joseph Benavidez fought in 4 UFC title fights. Okay, he also fought for 2 WEC titles as well. All right. Unfortunately, going 0-6 in those title fights, but he was stuck behind like goats. Right?
Yes.
Like at the time he was in the WC, let's not forget he's a flyweight.
I was about
to
say
natural
wrong
flyweight.
weight class.
Wrong weight class, but there was no flyweight. There was no flyweight. So natural flyweight, you know, forced to fight up a weight class just to be able to fight. Lost 2 title fights to Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz, tremendous run at bantamweight. Is he the bantamweight GOAT? That's another topic. Just off the top of my head, he is. Just right off the cuff, he is. Yeah, he's the bantamweight GOAT. Without me thinking too deep about it.
There's a good argument to be made there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to argue about it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to have my mind changed with a good argument.
Yeah.
But like just off the top of my head, he's the bantamweight GOAT. So 2 losses to the bantamweight GOAT, drops down, gets stuck behind DJ, like right in his prime. Right in their both their primes have aligned. So he's stuck behind DJ, and then has a career resurgence, and then 2 more title fight losses to Figgy. Yeah,
and he is like a monster 25er. Like I don't know how he makes weight.
Oh, Figgy. Yeah, I mean, so Figgy just fought Saturday against Rob Font and won decisively.
And Rob Font's awesome.
Yeah, Rob Font's a great bantamweight. So like,
and he didn't look small.
Some notable wins for Joseph Benavidez. I'm going to pull one out that may throw some of our younger audience for a loop. Miguel Torres.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Miguel Torres was like the bantamweight king up until Dominic Cruz came around, and Miguel Torres was like at the end of his career. Miguel Torres was something like 34-1, like
super violent, mullet.
Yeah, crazy violent. Yeah, a lot of big Jonas vibes.
Yeah,
big Jonas vibes. And Joseph Benavidez has a win over him. But Joseph Benavidez' biggest feather in his cap is a win over 2-division UFC champion, Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo.
I believe he beat, and again, this is one of those things that a lot of people aren't going to like understand, but didn't he beat Ian McCall?
He did beat Ian McCall.
And I believe, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, Ian McCall should have actually been the first champ.
No, you're remembering it wrong, and I would love to correct you on this.
So
and your inaccuracies right now.
He was fighting DJ.
So here goes what happened. Now, this is going to show a chink in my armor, as I cannot quite recall who Joseph Benavidez fought. But there was a 4-man tournament for the inaugural UFC flyweight championship, in which the first fights, I'm not even sure if they happened on the first night, but it wasn't like a one-night tournament.
Right? Yeah.
Like Joseph Benavidez, he won his semifinal fight. He moved on into the final, and Demetrius Johnson fought Ian McCall. And the fight ended up being a draw, okay? Now, there was a stipulation in the contract in which something got mixed up and messed up to where if the fight ended in a 3-round draw, there would be a 4th round, right? Like if you recall back to like my
right.
CFFC title fight,
yeah.
it was a 4-round fight if a draw, 5th round if
Right.
necessary, right? So it was only 4th round if necessary, right?
Right.
And guess what? The 4th round was necessary, but there was some miscommunication with
That's right,
maybe
the
the athletic
scorecards.
commission, the scorecards.
Something was
Yeah,
off
something
there.
got jammed on the scorecards. So one of them got an. Oh, that's why it didn't go. One of them was announced the winner when it should have been announced a draw. And
That's
had it
right.
been announced a draw, it would have went to a 4th round, right? So what they did was they rematched that on a later fight card, and Demetrius Johnson won.
See, I remembered that wrong. I thought that Uncle Creepy won.
And then it got scored a draw.
And
Nah.
there, yeah.
He might have won, but it was
Right.
I'm not
It
sure
was
who
close.
won, and it may have been Ian McCall who was announced the winner in the cage, but it was a misreading of the scorecards, and it was a draw. And Dana was very mad because the draw, as I said, the draw was meant to have a 4th round if necessary due to it being a tournament fight and there needing to be a winner. So it really screwed up like the tournament pacing. Because if I remember correctly, they both fought, like the semifinals were both on the same night, and then the finals were going to be like 3 months later or whatever.
And didn't they rematch though?
They rematched.
That's right,
And Demetrius
okay.
Johnson won.
And that's why it slowed
And then,
down.
because then the semifinals had to be put on another card, and then it pushed the finals back another way.
It was a long time ago.
Hey, long story short, that's Joseph Benavidez at my number 4 spot on best UFC fighters to never win a title.
That's a solid one. It's a very solid pick. All right. You ready for my number 3?
I am.
Mr. Uriah Faber. The California kid himself.
The California kid. Let's run him.
All right.
Run him, brother.
Uriah Faber. He was 35-11. He was the longtime WEC featherweight champion.
Long time.
Defeated Dominic Cruz
Oh, yeah.
during that, WEC reign.
So he has a win over UFC champion Dominic Cruz.
2 wins over Jens Pulver,
There we go.
who I believe was the first
Ever
lightweight.
UFC lightweight champion.
He fought for the bantamweight title against Cruz,
Yes.
then the interim title against Henan Barao,
Yep.
then again against Barao for the title, and then Cruz again, unfortunately going 0-4 in said fights.
So all his Aldo fights were in the WEC. He never rematched Aldo in the UFC.
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay.
But, he was a massive star, and, he was the face of lighter weight fighters in the WEC.
Yeah, he is highly credited with the reason that the UFC bought the WEC and then usurped the 45 and 35 pound division and then added the 125 pound division there and after.
Yep, massive star, excellent skills, really good wrestling, aggressive, striking, good submissions, and let's not forget, he is at least partially responsible for a whole gym full of awesome fighters.
Yeah, there's that as well.
So
he's also, like as you said, he was the WEC featherweight champion. He was a long reign at that, and at that time, that was the equivalent of the UFC championship. There was that was the premier organization hosting that weight class. He was also the King of the Cage champion as well,
right.
and Gladiator Combat as well, which is a little bit of a smaller one.
Yeah.
But at that time, that was it for
dominant,
featherweights.
Exciting,
Yeah.
skilled, wins over UFC champions. Like, if you have a win over UFC champion, that means again, it's all MMA math, but it's like you're good enough to be a champ. You just won on the wrong nights.
Right. Yep.
And there's a lot of guys like that out there. But I think that he's earned a spot on the list.
Solid. I think that's a solid pick for a number 3.
Yeah.
And he's my number 3 as well. So
for good reason.
Good reason. Number 3 on the list, Uriah Faber.
Well, real quick, let me ask you this: Why did he beat Benavidez?
Because of his WEC title reign.
Yeah.
That's why. When he had win over 2 champs, you know what I mean? Whereas Benavidez only had a win over 1 champ, but then I'm like, but Miguel Torres would have been the champ had it, been that, had the WEC had already been acquired by the UFC. And in fact, here goes something that might kind of skew our list. I believe at this time, the Zuffa owned the WEC. Zuffa bought the WEC.
I thought that was only for 1 card.
I thought they owned the WEC for years. and then
man.
made the.
We should look this up afterwards. But
Yeah.
I was under the impression that Zuffa bought the WEC for that one card where I believe it was the Showtime kick.
Yeah, the Showtime
And
kick. Benson Henderson.
They had Goldberg and Rogan as the commentators for it.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I do think that they acquired them long before then.
Interesting. I'll have to
Because
look that up.
I know it. I know it. In fact, here goes how I know it. There was a time where they were trying to get Frank Yeager to go to the WEC so he could fight 145. Do you recall that? And then Frank
don't,
Yeager
but that
beat
makes
Sean
sense.
Shirk, and then they were like, "Okay, you can." They were going to force him there. They were like forcing Frankie there, and then he beat Sean Shirk, and then they're like, "Okay, you can stay." And then like 2 fights later, he was the UFC champ.
Dude, and that's back when, like, no judgment, but this is back when, like, Sean Shirk was juiced out of his mind.
Yeah.
And Frankie was just, like, tiny and still beating
Yeah.
Sean Shirk, BJ. Man, Frankie's the man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Solid number 3 pick.
Yeah, solid number 3. All right, let's run to the 2s, brother. This is great.
This is great. I'm happy with this one. All right, so my number 2. You might not be prepared for this one. You might have forgot about this fella. I'm going to just read you some stats. You tell me
Okay.
what you think it is. Finished the career 31-17.
All right.
Defeated multiple UFC champions.
Yeah.
Fought at 3 weight classes.
Yeah.
Fought for the middleweight championship
His name's
twice.
Dan Henderson.
And fought for the light heavyweight championship once. Chael P. Son.
No way.
Yeah, he's my number 2.
Oh my God.
And do you know why I put him that high up?
No.
Because
That's crazy.
I would say,
I love Chael. I can't. He should not be number 2.
okay, so I value a couple things here. One, he fought at multiple weight classes, which I think is really cool.
What weight class? He fought at Malta.
Yeah, he fought middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight.
Okay.
He beat multiple UFC champions, and like, look at the quality of competition he fought. Look at the champions he fought. He fought prime Anderson. Right?
Yeah.
Like, Anderson's one of the GOATs.
Yeah,
you
dude.
know?
This is gonna be a good. Like,
And he fought John Jones.
he fought John Jones.
Like, dude,
He
his
did.
quality of competition is
quality of competition was through the roof.
Yeah.
But my man's, he was 5 on my list.
Two
Dude,
of
like
mine.
I would love nothing more for him to be number 1. I would love nothing more. But facts
originally
are
he was
facts.
my number 1.
Facts
but I
are
had to.
facts. He could be my number 1. I would love nothing more for him to be my number 1. But facts are facts. He's not. You know, like, he's my favorite, and I want him. I wish, but the facts are the facts. He shouldn't be that high on your list.
He is.
Hey, man.
We can go over the criteria later.
All right. Well, we did touch on Chael, so let's move to my number 2. So my number 2 now, I have a decision to make
Okay.
because my top 2 are so close that I don't know who I'm going to run who. So just know that my top 2 are that close that I'm struggling. But here goes who I'm going to go for my number 2. Alistair Overeem.
Oh, dude. Wow. I completely forgot.
All right, you ready? Alistair Overeem, however, has only fought for the UFC title once.
Yeah, but still, dude, there's a lot of other
That
stuff.
is his only downfall. He was the Strikeforce and Dream heavyweight champion. Mm-hmm. He has wins over 5 UFC champions. Mm-hmm. He has wins over Fabricio Verdum, Andre Arlovsky, Junior Dos Santos, Brock Lesnar, and Vitor Belfort.
And he fought other champions as well.
Yeah.
He fought Chuck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Quality competition. Not to mention, while he held those other 2 titles, he was also
Winning K1.
Yeah,
He was winning
Grand
K1.
Prix winner. Like, wow, dude. He's not even on my list. Completely forgot. But that's an interesting one.
Here goes, dude. We're gonna need to talk about these lists when they're done. That's all I gotta say. All right. I mean, dude, like what a strong resume. Also, he has like 67. So I didn't write the records down.
Yeah.
You know?
But he's got a million
Because
fights.
like the records, I
They
may
can
have wrote them
mislead.
down if I wanted like criteria for them, but I felt like the accomplishments was more so what was
Definitely.
driving my criteria. And dude, wins over 5 UFC champions.
Not to
Five
mention, look at the skill. Like,
Yeah.
that's one thing that, kind of the UFC gets, some flack for, is like they tend to not have super high quality strikers. At heavyweight, like, there's not a lot of guys who are better strikers than him.
Yeah,
you know?
K1
Like,
champ.
Yeah, exactly. And he beat legit dudes to get there. Didn't he beat? I think he beat Spawn, right?
I'm not sure.
I think he beat Spong, but Spong might have been hurt. But regardless, and he definitely beat Badr Hari. He knocked him out.
Yeah.
Like super legit.
Dude, he fought Crow Cop. He fought and he's been around forever.
That's another thing, longevity.
Longevity,
You know?
yeah.
I think the only one who probably has more longevity would be Arlovsky.
I mean, he fought Francis Ngannou. He's like you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even go through like his notable fights.
Right.
But like, you know, like the guy. I mean, like it speaks for itself. Wins over 5 UFC champions, right? It's like you said earlier, like fight them on a night that they were the champion. Now you're the champion.
Yeah, for real.
You know,
Dude,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's how it was able to overlook the just one title fight.
Yeah.
You know,
Man.
and putting a large portion of his prime in another organization. Like
Yeah.
he was a veteran of Pride, Dream, Strike Force. You know, like.
That, and I think people underestimate how awesome Strikeforce was. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it was awesome enough that the UFC decided they needed to buy it.
Did you know what's funny is you have a great striker on your list who I don't have, and I have a great grappler on my list that you don't have. That's pretty rare for us.
Damian Maia. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow, that's a great pick, dude. That's a real good pick. Glad you
Hard to
thought of
argue. I wonder if we have the same number one then.
that. I would be willing to bet we do.
I'm sure we do.
I'm going to start off by reading you some credentials. All right, so my number one pick for the best UFC
I can't believe
fighter,
we're going to have the same number one.
I think we will.
I can't believe it. Go ahead.
All right, so my number one pick for the best UFC fighter who never won a UFC championship. He had a record of 32-15. He wrestled Greco in multiple world championships and Olympics.
Yep, we got the same guy.
He won UFC 17 middleweight tournament. He was the Rings tournament winner, defeating Gilbert Yvel, Big Nog, and Babalu along the way.
That's
He
three
was
weight classes. That's
Pride-
3 weight classes.
Pride welterweight.
Which was
champion.
185 pounds.
It's actually
Pride's-
83.
Because they go by kilo.
Exactly.
85
But
kilo.
Same thing.
Yeah, 85 kilo.
And he had to win the Grand Prix to get there, which means he won 2 fights in one night to get to the finals. And he was their middleweight champion, which was 205.
205. Beating Vanderlei Silva.
Yep, who was a killer. Then he was the Strikeforce light heavyweight champ at one point.
And he fought for the Strikeforce middleweight title as well.
That's right.
He was
Forgot
going to be a
about that.
2-division Strikeforce champion.
He's fought in 3 weight classes. He defeated many UFC champions and MMA legends, including Shogun, Fedor, Michael Bisping, Rich Franklin, Wanderlei Silva, Vitor Belfort, Renzo Gracie, and Carlos Newton. He fought for the middleweight title against Anderson Silva and Michael Bisping, and for the light heavyweight title against Rampage. I mean, how can you make an argument that it's not Dan Henderson?
You can't. And that's why he's my number one as well.
I mean,
and
you talk about longevity. The
yeah,
dude
dude,
was
it was
in
incredible. The
2
only
Olympics?
person I think that, there's that as well. But the only person I think who you could argue this list over, and I think you really made a good point that I made the right decision keeping him my number one when I was
Definitely.
running that All-Star over him, Dan Henderson. Man, what a career Dan Henderson had. And it's like such a shame, that he never got that UFC title. But without that, he wouldn't be on this list.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think he's phenomenal. Like you said,
I'm picking my list back.
he's one of those guys who, on any given day, could have beaten so many champions. He could have been champion so many times.
Yeah.
He had 3 title fights. You know what I mean? In the UFC.
And then, here goes the thing too. I wish I would have wrote this down. I think he started MMA late 20s, early 30s too.
Yeah.
Because he had a whole wrestling career prior to it. The dude was,
Yeah.
he was wrestling Greco. So
Insane.
2 different combat sports having full careers in them.
Yeah. And hitting the highest levels. I think he finished, the best he did was 7th at the Olympics. And I think he might have done better in some world championships as well. But man, Dan Henderson's so good. And if we just look at it skill-wise, it's not like it was an accident that he got to that position. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Skill-wise, he was phenomenal. His striking game, relatively basic, but effective. You know what I mean? Probe with the jab, probe with the inside low kick. And when he's ready, lets that H-bomb go. I mean, dude, if you have a nickname that is widely used for your right hand.
And you're still landing it.
Yeah,
you're still landing it.
He has one of the most iconic images in all of MMA. You know what I mean? Knocking out a dude who then went on to become a champion.
Become the champion.
I mean, I don't think there's much argument against Dan Henderson.
No, I don't think you can argue it. A strong number one. All right, so let's dive into...
No. I got some honorable mentions here. And I got some reasons why.
You want to do honorable mentions before we dive into beef?
Yeah.
All right,
Let
go
me
ahead.
just spit some honorable mentions at you. All right, so number one on my honorable mentions, I had Joseph Benavidez. I was also considering putting him on the list. You know, the only reason I didn't put him on the list,
Why?
quality of opposition, and it's not his fault. It's just that at flyweight, like you named all the good dudes he's fought.
Yeah.
Who else did he fight?
Yeah. No.
And like I had to pull out Ian McCall, who like you and I like we're into MMA. We know that he's
Yeah.
really good, but like
Uncle
I guarantee
Creepy.
you, the majority of people listening to this right now probably don't know who Ian McCall is. You know what I mean? So you know that's the only reason I didn't put him on the list, but he very easily could have been.
Yeah.
I mean the dude's a beast. I had Chad Mendez on my list.
Chad Mendez was a dude. So Damian Maya, who was on your list, was in my honorable mentions. Kenny Florian on your list in my honorable mentions. Chad Mendez in my honorable mentions.
I think stylistically, I mean I think he was honestly kind of like a more skilled Sean Shirk in different eras. So you know, no slight on Sean Shirk.
Right.
But like. Man, he's so good, and look at who he fought. You know, he lost to Aldo,
Yeah.
And McGregor.
McGregor.
Who, like you know, at the time, McGregor could knock out anyone.
Yeah.
Another one on my honorable mentions, Yoel Romero.
Yoel's on my honorable mentions.
Yep.
As well as Alexander Gustafsson.
That was my next one, Gustafson.
That's why I tried to get some out so I could get some honorable mentions out. You're out here naming all mine.
My bad. You got any more?
No, I can't think of any right now.
Okay, well I got two more for you then. Gilbert Melendez.
Okay, he wouldn't be on mine.
He was a long-time Strikeforce lightweight champion. He lost title fights to Ben Henderson and Anthony Pettis.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, at lightweight, it's like there's so many guys who are at the
Dude,
top.
yeah, lightweight's
you know?
wild like
So,
that.
I put him on that, and then this one is mostly just because of crowd favorite, but Cowboy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wouldn't have him on my list either. But like, yeah, Cowboys. He's. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
I think he already is, right?
Okay, yeah, maybe. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I mean he's definitely Hall of Fame worthy. He's got all kinds
All
of
types of
records
records.
for you know
Yeah.
longevity. He's one of those dudes willing to fight anyone.
Tons of bonuses.
Tons of bonuses, quality of competition through the roof. You know, he has wins over champions. Didn't he? He stopped Oliveira, right?
Probably.
I think he hit him with that like jab to the chest.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I think he also beat Anthony Pettis.
I don't remember.
Maybe not.
And he had like a long WEC career before that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was always in the mix, crowd favorite. You know, so again, I think that I had him in my honorable mentions, but he
Yeah.
definitely didn't belong on the list. I don't think. You want to talk about criteria?
Yeah.
All right. So my criteria was as follows: number of title shots and weight classes. So, you know, if someone fought in multiple weight classes, I weighed that very heavily. Quality of competition and or the champion that they fought against.
Yeah.
Outside achievements, so you know, ADCC champion, you know,
K1 champion.
K1 champion.
It's weird that Alistair Overeem's wasn't on your list.
Dude. I can't believe I overlooked.
I can't believe you disagree with Alistair Overeem
I don't
being one of the
disagree
best
at
fighters.
all.
So if you,
I might actually.
where are you putting him on your list then?
How about this then? How about this? Well, hold on. Last thing, and then is my subjective view of their skills. But how about this? The reason why I think my list is better is
I think your list is objectively terrible compared to mine.
it's way better, way better. Here's why: Chael above Overeem for sure.
How?
He fought for 3
Can I tell you
titles
something real quick?
in 2
Chael's
weight
on my
classes.
list. Chael's on my list out of like
Love.
out of love for Chael. Like I actually don't think he's number 5, but I was not gonna do that.
I'll do you one better.
I would lie before not putting him on my list. That's what I did.
Here's why he's better than Overeem.
Okay.
1, he fought for 3 championship fights as opposed to 1, right, in the UFC.
Okay.
2, he fought it at multiple weight classes,
Okay.
right? And 3, the quality of competition.
This is terrible. You're so inaccurate on that. The quality of competition for Alistair Overeem is far higher than Chael. Dude, I can't believe you're making me do this.
Break it down. Break it down.
He has wins over 5 UFC champions, and he's fought at least 7 UFC champions. He also fought Stipe Miocic, and he fought Francis Ngannou, and I might be missing some in here too.
I feel like we might be because he fought everyone.
Did he fight Kane? I don't think so. Maybe
think so,
not. And like, dude, he's fought like in Pride. He fought. Did he fight Fedor? Yeah, he had to have fought Fedor, right?
I don't believe he did.
No, okay,
But he did fight a
fought
bunch
Big
of
Nogs.
killers.
Like probably fought both Nogs. Dude, he fought everybody. There's like
Yeah.
almost nobody he didn't fight. So strength of schedule, it's hard to argue against Alistair Overeem because if someone's on your list, they're probably on his list.
That's a
Okay,
good point.
outside accomplishments, dude. Like I can't believe I'm going against Chael, but what's
Outside
the,
accomplishments are way better than Chael. I'll give you
way
that.
better than Chael, right? And I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to
Dude,
be.
you think
doing
I want to
this.
be arguing against the striker?
No, I don't want to be arguing against Chael. Like I want to be like putting him up, man.
That's my thing. I wish I was arguing for Overeem, but
Dude, you're just objectively wrong. Like your criteria for strength of schedule, I have just proven it to be better.
No.
Name Chael
Here's why.
Sonnen's.
Here's why. It's the 3 title fights and the 2 weight classes. That's what cements him for me over Overeem.
Okay, Overeem, 2 weight classes, same as Chael. Oh, he did
didn't
3
fight
weight
for
classes.
titles in 2 weight classes.
No, but he was in. He
fought
was a
Pride.
heavyweight. Here's the thing, though. He became a real heavyweight. Therefore, you can't go up weight
I
classes.
think he was a real heavyweight, and that's why he lost a lot of light heavyweight.
Like when he was at 205, yeah, he was super skinny. So like so right there, you can't use weight classes against him because
he was too big.
you know what, dude? He fought in 2 weight classes. I'm sure he fought some dudes in Pride maybe that were over 265 because they had no limit.
Yeah.
So there goes super heavy.
There you go. All right.
You know what I
I'll give
mean?
you that.
Like, so you can't use the multiple weight class thing against somebody who's in heavyweight because there's nothing they can do about it. They don't have an opportunity to jump up.
You know,
You know
what,
what I
dude?
mean?
I
And
wanted-
you're making me argue everything I don't like.
And you know what? I was just about to say that is I'll take it because I want the striker to be the better one. So
He had a great guillotine. He was a good grappler as well.
Actually, didn't he win European ADCC trials?
Dude, he did something good grappling. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure it was European ADCC trials back in the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past him
What
being
do you
number
think-
2 all time on the list.
What do you think about his grappling skills overall? Like, do you think it was because he was going against like giant dudes in Europe who might not have been good at that time?
No, I think
Or
he's
do
a
you think
very
he's super
solid
legit?
grappler. I think he's a super legit grappler.
Do you know if he's a black belt by chance?
I don't know that, but like he's
But a lot of MMA guys who are black belt quality
Yeah.
don't actually have black belts.
Yeah, and like you okay, 3 title fights versus 1 title fight. He was the champion in other organizations. You know what I mean?
true.
And so who's Chael's 5 best opponents? Anderson Silva, John Jones. Which, man, I don't want to do this. The John Jones fight was not earned. It was not earned.
Well,
it wasn't like he was the number 1 contender.
Also, I think that he would have had a better chance of winning if John would have taken the fight initially on that short notice.
Dude, I think he had 0 chance of winning at all. And you
I
want
mean,
to
I
know why?
agree.
Somebody told me that he had no shot at winning. Somebody told me. Somebody close to the camp told me he had no shot at winning. His name was Chael Sonnen.
I mean, dude, I agree. I think that
You can find it
I think
online.
he would have done better, is what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But Chael, I saw it in an interview or whatever. He was like, yeah, dude. He was like, I had no shot.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But
you got to take it.
yeah, you take it. Of course you take it. And like, that's impressive in its own right. But it doesn't make you, like, this is a list about who's like, it's a top 5 list. It's a top fighter list.
And you know what?
You know, and you're using criteria. You're using, first off, you're using criteria and then going against that criteria because in the strength of schedule, Alistair Overeem smashes Chael Sonnen.
I agree. The
So
only
then
reason
it's just, so basically your number of UFC title fights weighs so heavily that like that, so that you might as well not have any.
that
other
was my
criteria.
initial argument, but
Here
how
goes.
about this?
No, dude. I'm not done shredding you to pieces.
Bring it.
Because your list sucks. All right? Because if those 3 title fights matter so much to you, why is Joseph Benavidez an honorable mention on your list with 4 title fights? With 4 title fights. Oh, because strength of schedule. But we'll ignore it when it comes to Alistair Overeem. Uriah Faber, 4 title fights. Chelsea. So by your criteria, which you choose to ignore some of your criteria and you choose to hold on to some of it, you are just all over the board with it. You're not staying consistent at all.
You're 100% right. You're right. Alistair Overeem is a way better fighter than Chael. And I'll do you one better. You know who beat Chael?
Who?
Damian Maia.
Yeah, Damian Maia like lat drop to a triangle.
Hard,
Yeah.
dude. No, you're 100% right. I'll give you that. Your number 2, way better than my number 2.
All right, Our number threes are or ones and threes are the same.
1 and 3 is the same. I think those are inarguable, right?
Okay. Number 4, according to your criteria, I have the better number 4.
Who's your 4?
Joseph Benavidez. 4 title fights to 3.
Kenny Florian, yeah. I think I was putting Kenny Florian in because of the strength of the opponents, but I think
And
you can
the
make
many weight classes.
But honestly, I think you can make a good argument for Benavidez having.
Yeah, because so who is Kenny Florian's best opponent? Jose Aldo, right? Or is it BJ Penn?
I would say Aldo.
Okay, Aldo. Hard for me to argue against Aldo, to be honest with you. It's hard for me to argue against Aldo. Who is his second?
Well, but DJ is arguably like more of a GOAT. Well, again, strength of schedule. You know what I mean?
So yeah, okay, I get it. So like, let's just call Aldo and DJ a wash.
Yeah.
For the sake of that, like,
Yeah. Let's have those.
That would be too much of a conversation.
I'm open to.
They're close enough.
I'm open to Kenny Florian being switched with Benavidez, but tell me why.
Well, because Henry Cejudo.
That's hard to argue against.
Henry Cejudo is an all-timer, 2-division champion, beat a GOAT to win one. Then also he's an Olympic champion on outside. Like, he's an Olympic champion, dude.
That's
the champion of the Olympics.
Yeah, that's
wild. You know what I mean? Yeah, so like strength of schedule, it's like, okay, do you look at like, is it quality or quantity, right? And like, okay, they both have decent quality, but like I would say that they're number ones if we're calling it a wash, which
we can't, just for sake of argument.
For the sake of argument, just because like I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call it a wash for the sake of argument on DJ and Aldo. So then you go to their second, right? Cejudo and BJ. I mean, it's Cejudo, far and away. Yeah. Now here goes the thing though. BJ also 2-division champ.
But here's why I'd argue Cejudo over BJ is one, strength of schedule. Well, maybe not actually, because BJ beat what? He beat
George.
Oh, that's right. He beat George.
No,
that wasn't for the title.
Did he beat George? He didn't ever beat George.
They fought twice, right?
Yeah, he never beat him.
No, you're right. He never beat George.
He beat the shit out of him for one round.
He did.
And then George won the fight, and then in the rematch,
George crushed him.
Yeah, and BJ didn't come out.
But he beat Matt Hughes.
He beat Matt Hughes.
Big. And who did he beat? He beat Jens Pulver for the title?
No, Jens Pulver. So he beat Jens Pulver in the Ultimate Fighter finale when they were both coaches. He lost to Jens Pulver for the title.
Who did he beat to get the title?
Who did he beat to get the title? Was it
Shirk? Might have been Shirk.
Was it Shirk, or did Shirk have to vacate and then he beat like Joe Daddy Stevenson or somebody?
Actually, it might have been Florian.
It might have been Florian. Well, I know that Florian and Shirk fought for the vacant title. I don't. Yeah, it might have been, but like, I don't know. I just don't see. I mean, like Kenny Florian also fought Diego Sanchez for the 185-pound Ultimate Fighter Season 1 title. That's
true.
Pretty impressive.
All right, overall, who you putting?
I'm keeping Joseph over. I'm keeping him over for Ken Flo.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, and then at 5s was Damian Maia, and I had Joe.
All right, so if we had to make the ultimate list, we're both good with Hendo at 1.
Hendo at 1. Did I sell you on Alistair?
Oh yeah.
All right, Alistair at 2. So you're 2.
Although I might put him back a little bit. I might bump Faber up to 2.
Oh no, sir, no, sir.
So dude,
it's got dude Hendo and other. I'm having trouble with Hendo and Overeem. I'm having trouble with that. I'm struggling. I'm at a struggle with
2 Olympics.
Okay, K1 champion, Olympic champion? No, 7th K1 champion, the Olympics of kickboxing.
Okay, how about
K1
this?
Champion.
So he was a Dream and Strikeforce title. Henderson had a Strikeforce title, and he was a 2-weight Pride champion.
Okay, but he lost the Strikeforce middleweight title. He lost his title fight against Jake Shields for the Strikeforce middleweight title. Then came to the UFC and came back to the UFC and got another title fight against Michael Bisping later.
I feel good about Hendo over.
I'm good with Hendo over Overeem. I'm good with it, but it's a struggle. Like it's like a conversation. You know what I mean? Chael over Hendo is not a conversation.
No.
That's not a. So on your list, there's no one who's even in the conversation with Hendo.
All right.
I would say Alistair
right.
is the closest in the conversation, which by default, which should make him number 2 on your list now.
All right, I'm with that. Okay, so our overall list: Hendo 1.
Hendo 1.
We'll go Overeem 2.
Overeem 2, I'm fine with that.
Man, I
'Cause
feel like he
that's-
shouldn't be, but I want him to be.
Who?
'Cause I love Overeem.
I mean, he's arguably 1. He is a clear 2 if he's not 1.
You know the thing that you said that really cemented it for me?
What?
Is I was going to be like, multiple weight classes, but heavyweight, what do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
It's not like he's a couture heavyweight. You know what I mean? He's
Right,
a
who
heavyweight.
could have done both.
Yeah,
and like he
exactly.
did do 2 weight classes, it's just like he was young.
He wasn't. Yeah.
He was, I was a 145er.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right? And then one day I became 21 and I was like, never making that again.
I wrestled at 152 one time.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, people get bigger as they mature. And I'm pretty sure Alistair was fighting.
And I think that's part of the
young
reason
ages.
that he got knocked out so easily in some of those fights is because he was sucking too much weight.
Yeah, could be.
All right, so we'll say Hendo at 1, Overeem 2. We're good with Faber at 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm good with Faber at 3.
I'm good
But
with
are
Faber
you?
at 3.
Because you're going to move your 2 out of, you don't just drop him to 3? You don't drop Chael to 3?
You made a pretty compelling argument against Chael.
Yeah, okay, good. All
Which I
right.
think both of us didn't want to do.
I didn't want to do that.
But you made a pretty compelling argument, dude. Honestly, Chael might get bumped from my list.
Bro, he might get bumped from mine too, but like I put him at 5 because I needed him on here. I was looking for a way to make him number 1.
Dude.
I wanted him to be number 1.
And here's why he might have to get bumped from the list, because I want to leave Damian, and if you put them head to head, Damian won.
Yeah, they have the head-to-head win.
All right, but let's make the overall list. Okay, so again, 1 Hendo, 2
2 Alistair,
3 Uriah,
4.
4.
Or are you sticking K-Flow? I think Benavidez over K-Flow.
Dude, I think we bump Damian up
To 4. Now, list me why Damian over Benavidez. So, okay, first off, number of title fights, Benavidez got that criteria.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Strength of schedule.
And this is why I feel bad, because it's like not Benavidez' fault. You know, he's a little dude.
Well,
Who's
let's
he
still
gonna
run
fight?
strength
You know
of
what I mean?
schedule.
Okay, strength of
Anderson
schedule.
Silva.
Anderson, I mean, it's hard to argue against that, but DJ is up there.
Wash.
Yeah, I'll give that a wash, actually, because DJ technically is
So
a
now we're
longer
doing the
range.
same thing like the DJ Aldo thing.
All right, so
number
let's take that
2.
away.
Who's his number 2?
Woodley.
Henry Cejudo. That's a dub for Benavidez.
That is a dub for Benavidez.
Okay, but now
Other
3.
Other wins. Okay.
3 after that.
So he beat someone who was on both of our lists, Chael.
He did. But Chael was lower on my list than where I have Joseph.
He's about to get dropped off my top 5.
That Chael was lower on my list than where I have Joseph Benavidez. And so you would say Chael would be his 3rd strength of schedule fight?
Probably not. Who
But here goes the other thing. Let me stop you real quick, okay? We had the wash at the top, and then we gave Benavidez the win with Cejudo.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He won. He beat
Dude,
Cejudo.
yeah.
He beat Cejudo. Damian Maia lost to
That's
Woodley.
a good.
He lost to Woodley.
Also, what's his overall? Dude, overall, Benavidez 28-8. Damian Maia 28-11.
28-8. Also fighting at
Up a weight
least
class.
half of his career out of a weight.
And
Up a weight, like legitimately
that's
out
what I
of
was gonna
weight
say.
class.
I think Damian Maia was legit at 85. You know,
Yeah.
and that was also pre-USADA. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Damian Maia seems like a pretty clean-cut individual to me. I've actually spent a little bit of time with him, and I would never accuse him of anything.
Bro, I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just speculating. You know that pre-USADA, it made sense for a lot of guys to be up a weight class. I think a fair one that we can all point to who dropped off, like, and this isn't even a weight class thing, but Hendricks, like,
Yeah.
whatever. We don't have to go down this path, but all right, I would take. Okay, all right. Here's my only argument for Damian, although I'm kind of on board with
Over Benavidez? Okay.
But this is the last throw out for Maia, ADCC champ. How high are we weighting that though? You know what I mean? I think you got to go MMA accomplishments over outside accomplishments. As much as I
You
want
got to go
Damian
MMA.
on.
I mean, it's an MMA list.
Okay,
Right?
so-
Because, what if someone did nothing outside? What if someone grew up fighting MMA?
and then they ended up being the GOAT.
Or is it even more impressive? Is it even more impressive that Joseph Benavidez doesn't have outside accomplishments because he didn't have like
base.
a base.
Yeah.
Although he did have a wrestling base.
Yeah, but we can ignore
But like, you know what I mean? Like for the sake
yeah.
of an argument, not for Benavidez' argument, would that be more impressive if you were like, oh, I started training martial arts at 19? What'd you do before that? I was on the chess club and I ran cross country. You know? And it's like, damn, that's kind of impressive. What did you do? What did you do, Chael? Well, I wrestled since I was 4.
Right.
So you've been training this? You've been training one of the largest aspects of fighting since you're 4. Damian Maya, what about you? Jiu-jitsu since I was 3. Like, same thing, you know?
All right.
So there, I mean, no, I'm not standing there. But I'm just saying that's
an
thought.
interesting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm totally down to have Benavidez over Damian. So
now it's the number 5.
So we're saying Benavidez takes 4.
Yeah, I'm saying Benavidez takes 4.
So now we're down to 5. And who do you got left? You got Chael and I got Damian?
Yeah, so it's Chael v. Damian.
Okay, so there's arguments both ways.
Okay.
I think I know which
they
one.
have the head-to-head win.
They have the head-to-head win for Damian. If we look at
strength of schedule, past accomplishments, Damian has got the better past accomplishment.
Yes.
Strength of schedule is far and away Chael.
Oh, man, I'm trying to remember who else Damian fought now. And the fact that I can't remember tells you a lot.
I mean, he fought like Wonder Boy. He fought other people.
Wonder Boy should have been an honorable mention, maybe.
Yeah, probably should have been an honorable mention.
Probably Chael. But is that enough to overcome?
I mean, I think 3 title fights, taking a GOAT to the breaking point. Yeah. Taking the GOAT to the breaking point. Should have been a WEC champ. So there goes outside accomplishment, but actually in MMA. You know, fought 3 weight classes as an 85er. Fought heavyweight, you know. Although he's a big 85er, I was gonna say, he's an 85er.
That's fair.
You know. You know, like wasn't like, man, how's this guy making 85? Like when he was at 85, he was a normal he was it wasn't like he's the biggest 85er. He was just like normal 85er.
He said he had like a real hard time making weight, but like I agree.
Yeah, but like like when he was in the cage, you weren't like, wow, I can't believe he's an 85.
It wasn't like Pereira where you're like, how do you make weight?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, speaking of which, I think that in his prime he probably could have beaten Pereira.
Also, Damian Maya has wins over how many UFC champs?
That I don't know.
I don't think any.
I think you're right.
Yeah, whereas Chael Sonnen has wins over 3.
Oh, dude, how about this? If it wasn't for the head-to-head, you got to give it to Chael, right?
I give it to Chael for sure, and I think you go like body of work over head-to-head here. So
I'll give you that. All right,
Chael for 5.
So what's our overall finalists? The official LTYC.
The official LTYC list would be 5 Chael, 4 Joseph Benavidez, 3 Uriah Faber, 2
Alistair Overeem,
and 1 Dan Henderson. You know what I like about that list? That's my list. I got you to agree to my list.
Would we switch it around a little bit?
No, not at all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Run the tape back, Doug. Run the tape back. Listen to your coaches, because he sure does.
Oh, man. If anyone could convince me that my list is wrong, it would be you. I think all like solid points, too.
Dude, solid points.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. I think this was a really fun list, you know?
Agree.
And I really enjoyed that. Like, I mean, inarguably, I had the better list since now you agree.
Yeah. That's the official LTYC list now.
Official LTYC list. Can I give the audience any background information on how I came up with my list?
Please do. They're dying to know.
So I thought about it on the drive over here. Will was like, "We got it. This is what we're gonna do." What day do you think? So we're present day right now is Monday, December 4th, right? And this will likely get released
in a week and a half.
Tuesday, December 11th, or I don't know.
So I think
something like that.
We discussed this probably late last week, like Thursday or Friday.
Friday. When did you have your list done by?
Like within a couple hours of calling you. As soon as you said yes, I was like, "Oh, dude, I gotta write my list."
And I was like, "Oh, I got one person on my list. Guess who it was? It was Joseph Benavidez." I was like, "Yeah, dude, that dude fought for the title so many times. He's got to make my list."
Dude, he was one of the first ones on mine too.
Dude, if I were like, I should have took us like literally on the drive here. My list was still just Joseph Benavidez.
2 minutes before we hit record, you were like,
I was
"Gotta make this
grinding.
list."
I was on Tapology, like counting champs, and I'm like, don't worry, it's gonna go quicker once I get to the top. But yeah, dude,
hilarious.
that's so funny. Oh, good times here at LTYC. This was another strong episode of Listen to Your Coaches. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing and all the good stuff, and we'll see you next time.